So let's get started. Can you hear me well? OK. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Cedric. I'm Cedric Brun. I'm from France, and I'm CEO of Obeo. And today I'm going to speak about open innovation, Unleash, Obeo's journey in the open source ecosystem. Well, since I'm a teenager, I've been passionate about technology and about free software in general. And I discovered this amazing world of free software and open source. So this talk is fairly special to me because I often presented talks which are more technical. Yet this one is focused on the company, Obeo. And my own personal story is highly intertwined with the story of the company. So it's a bit special to do this talk. I joined the company as an intern for software development while the company was just founded. And my role changed from an employee to a product lead to CDO of Obeo. And since 2017, 7 years from now, I've been leading the company as CEO. For all this time, my strong belief was that I believe that software reaches its fullest potential when it's openly shared, built to last, and evolve through the collaboration of an engaged community. So that's a strong belief I have since I'm a teenager, and that's, to me, the best way to develop software. And today I'm going to ask a what-if question. What if we could build a business aligned with the goals of building the best possible software in a transparent and open source way? So this is the topic of this presentation. Let me present Obeo in a few words. We are an independent software provider. The company got founded in 2005, and we work with, let's say, high-tech corporate groups like ESA, Ariane Group, Rolls-Royce, Thales, and so much more in various strategic domains like aerospace, rail, energy, and so on. Our specialty is providing graphical modeling tools, helping those customers design their complex system more efficiently. They are operating in a highly competitive environment in which you just can't cut your corner. You want to design the best system in the minimum of time, and you want to make sure that it's safe and it meets all the capabilities that it has to support. And to do so, we've been building open source technology and product, and we've been doing so for 19 years now. Right now, we are a bit more than 60 people. So just you have to keep that in mind. We are a fairly small, medium business in what a definition of business size is. But we have a worldwide presence. We are based in France, but we also have a subsidiary in Canada. We have presence in Australia, in Japan, and India. In the next few weeks, we'll have also presence in Brazil. So let's just have a quick look at the kind of product are enabled by what we build. So we are building Eclipse Sirius, which is a tool, a platform, so that you build your own graphical modeler for your own business model, your own domain model, sorry. And this enables all sorts of tooling, like Capella, for instance, which is another open source solution, allowing model-based system engineering. Here you can define the system architecture, the capabilities, where things are changed. It also enabled Obeo Smarty, which is one of our products, which is focused on enterprise architecture. It enabled the project Eclipse Puzzle, which is a tool designed to support simulation of embedded system, so that you can run the behavior of the system and optimize it to make sure it's more parallel. We built M2Doc, which is a document generation technology. You have your model, you get the corresponding documentation. Information Designer, which is another graphical modeling tool which allows to design applications and generate the corresponding code. And to generate code, we're using Eclipse Axelio, which is another Eclipse project. So these are just a small glimpse, very fast, of what we've been able to enable as open source product in the last 19 years. But basically, you can just remember boxes and edges, but these boxes and edges have meanings, which means that engineers can work together and design the system. So what do I mean by open innovation? Well, open innovation is a collaborative approach in which we, with our customer, partners, with the community, work either directly into the open source project or adapt and extend the open source project. So we are going to go through the journey of a medium enterprise for more than 19 years. And we're going to go through the company, project, and how customers and partners contributed, and the way we did set up this contribution and this open innovation. Then I focused on the business model and speak a bit more about how everything is working from an economic perspective. How can we make that sustainable in the long term? And then I'll highlight the global impact we had in these last few years, and at least I'm going to share the challenge we are facing right now. Hopefully, from this talk, you get an idea of all this work together. And I'm not saying this is the best or this is a unique way of building such a business, but this is definitely the way we refined over the years and which works for us. So let's embark on the journey and start in 2005. Well, in 2005, the company got created at the end of 2005. And then what do? We create a logo. And well, that was one of the first logo, but it's not the one we ended up with. This is the one. You get lots of second millennium vibes from this logo, right? And you see a lot of companies, stories which starts with a garage or something. In the case of Obeo, we were not starting the company in the garage. We actually start in the old bakery of a miner in France. And it was just founded by 3 developers. The original vision that we had at the time was that we wanted to build products that makes development more efficient and last. We wanted to pragmatically use the power of models to analyze, design, generate, or migrate code. And there was already this idea of building open source products. Why? Because we were leveraging the Eclipse platform already for our first tool, and it was a perfect fit to provide the level of tooling that developers were needed. And we needed, when you start, you really need to be known and recognized globally. And so open source was a perfect way for us to get known. And because you don't have a lot of footing when you start from scratch. And so that's one of the best ways to get known. So the first few years, we got to discover the Eclipse community and not just the technology. And we had to kind of get into the community. That means interacting on the forums, on the Bugzilla. And here, when you join here as a developer, you learn from the best. At that time, for us, Obeo, the people from IBM were rock stars. You know, IBM had built this platform, which is Eclipse, which we were using, and we were working with them using Bugzilla and so on. And they were like the most important architects to us. And then we did participate to our first Eclipse conferences. And I personally got to meet in real life the person I was interacting with on the Bugzilla. And I even could come back with a signed copy of the EMF book by Ed Merckx. Then we got known a little, and what was seen as an out-of-reach goal for us, which was to build graphical modeler with the level of features that were only found in commercial products, seemed to be something that we could do. It seemed attainable. And that's how it all started. And then we started to participate and engage more in the community and create more projects, just like a new project being a new egg, and that hoping it will grow and somehow grow bigger than us. Here is an overview of the project we had the most involvement in along the years. Some we created, some which were created by others. But in practice, there are many more projects which, well, let's say, did not work out. These are the ones that I'm going to highlight today. And for each project or each group of projects, you can see there are key organizations that have been very key in making this project a reality at some point. The first project is Axilio. That's the one we did start developing at the very beginning of the company. It was a tool, and it is a tool for generating any text or code from a model. That's the initial product, the first open source community that we created. And at first, we created the community outside of Eclipse. First, ourselves, and then into the Object Web consortium, and then we decided to move into the Eclipse. This project was key for us to get known. And after this project existed, many other companies contributed back to Axilio, either directly with specific features in mind, but more often with off-the-shelf generators. They will create a generator for a given technology, let's say Java EE or C# or whatever, and they will join and maintain this code generator as part of the Axilio project. What is interesting in this project and in the history of Obeo is that it started in 2006, and this project is still alive and kicking, and it has been rewritten completely once in 2010. And we are currently undergoing another second complete rewrite. So expect some awesome new iteration in the next few months. A bit later, another partnership gave birth to what is called Eclipse Sirius. Eclipse Sirius is an open source low-code platform for defining modeling environment with specific visual languages. At that time, we were focused on desktop application. Thales was in need of a system architecture graphical tool to support their system engineering methodology. Obeo, we had the experience of building graphical modelers based on Eclipse, and using the technologies which were available on Eclipse just meant that it was not possible to create what Thales needed at the scale of what they needed. They needed like dozens of modelers working together in an integrated environment, and the technologies at that time, which were part of the open source Eclipse, were not fit for that. So we worked for Thales and with Thales to develop this technology. And this technology was later made open source under the name Eclipse Sirius. And that partnership helped in bootstrapping all the technology and then evolved over the years when Thales transformed the environment that they built using Sirius as another open source product, which is called Eclipse Capella. And then we could expand our partnership and find new ways of collaborating. Around that time, comparing and merging models was somewhat a key differentiator of commercial products. And it was also a clear gap into the open source world. When we saw that, Obeo and another company called Intalio, we came together and we created one of the very first projects in Eclipse, which is called EMF Compare. And so we created this project to bring this feature of model comparison and merge within Eclipse. That was a pretty hard research and engineering endeavor, because we wanted to make sure it worked even if you don't have any ID of the elements and so on. And that gave birth to many contributions from academic organizations. But later on, Ericsson came to us with the need to reach an industrial level quality for these features. So we joined and they sponsored a major rewrite of the technology to fill the gap with commercial product, and also to integrate it with Git and Git, which was the target of deployment for Ericsson. Another setup we've seen along the year, it's for features that somehow everybody needs, yet won't be able to use much of their own resource to make it happen. And that's kind of the story behind M2Doc. M2Doc is model to documentation, and everybody needs at some point to generate an Office-compliant document from a model, because that's part of the value you get from modeling. And this project gives the ability to create a template directly into Microsoft Office, and then apply the model on it, and then you get your export. In this case, we've been able to bootstrap and create all the core features, and some customers came and sponsored some of the evolutions they were needing. And so in this case, several customers contributed into the project, indirectly going through Obeo so that the technology is used by all of them. In this case also, then some customer contribute something and the other one obviously benefits from the new features and can use it and so on. As I mentioned earlier, Capella was made open source by Thales a few years after a few years of internal usage after and development with Obeo. And this setup is slightly different from the others because Obeo, we focused on our effort in growing the user community of Capella. So we were living into the Eclipse community for quite some time, and we had an idea of how to do that. And it came through amplifying the voice of the community, hosting webinars, creating case studies, basically showing the world what the good stuff has been done with Capella and how you can adopt it and so on. So Thales did develop the tool and is still maintaining and evolving the tool, but Obeo's contribution is mostly on community and evangelization, making sure that awareness around this tool is happening. And the last case, which is not the least, is when you get an open source product which gets adopted widely, and in particular in some organizations which are in need of extending it. Here, for instance, Rolls-Royce. So they're using Capella for their civil aircraft engineering. And they came to us with the need of a safety add-on so that you can add all the safety-related information and tooling as part of Capella. So in this case, we did develop the project with them. And they're using this add-on, which is an in-house add-on, if you say, but gives them a competitive advantage on their market on this safety concern. And this is another way which is quite important for us, which means you have your project and then you create your own specific add-on and it's fine, but it's because it's based on open source, it ends up contributing to the open source project, or it ends up contributing to our capability of investing into the open source project. So let's have a look on the business model, a bit like you have a map and you're looking for the treasure, right? Well, by engaging in various forms of collaboration in open source project, we've been able to do all of that in the last 19 years. And I did not mention much so far, but Eclipse has been definitely an enabler of that. And all the business-friendly ecosystem and governance of Eclipse is very important to do that. So let's look under the hood. What actually is the business model? Our business model is a hybrid business model. We combine development services with commercial add-ons and software assurance. So we provide custom workbenches development, open source core development. Basically, you ask for a service, and we do provide our expertise, help you build your tool, help you build the tool for you, train your team, whatever. So this is the service we do provide. We have the expertise of these technologies of building modeling tools, and you can rely on us to do that. But we also have add-ons to open source product. And we also have off-the-shelf products, which are we're using all these technologies. Here are the open source products, and we really see these as full product, which we extend through commercial add-ons. You could say we are in an open core business model. So what is important here? First, the open source product needs to be great in itself. It needs to be useful. It needs to provide value. And then the add-ons needs to add something which is important for corporate users. Capella is great in itself. You can collaborate using files and Capella, maybe using Git and so on. You can version control, you can compare and merge. But if you use Team for Capella, the add-on that we are providing, then your engineers have concurrent editing capabilities. They collaborate on the model just like they would in Google Doc. And when you have like 5, 10, 20 engineers which are working intensively on the system architectures, then you really need that to be efficient. So these are some of the add-ons we do provide. In the case of a project and development services, then we'll work with customers to develop their features. We'll start by evaluating the gap, create a proof of concept, maybe decide whether this could be contributed at this or this or this level upstream. and then, well, provide this evaluation, and if the customers want to start, then we start. Then we do the development, and maybe after that, we go into maintenance phase, either through specific contracts, or if it's an add-on that we are providing to other customers, and so through a classic subscription or software assurance. And this model, business model is based off a positive feedback loop. So you have these corporate users at the left because he has a tie, right? And the project is the house at the top right. And so there is the maintainer, the committee of the project, which is able to work on that. When these corporate users, well, ask the maintainer, he gets an expert which is able to support his project, which is able to provide integrated and maintained upstream features into the project. And because it's open source, it's also mitigate the vendor lock-in that the corporate user might have, because anybody could maybe develop the expertise to contribute to this project and to, well, do this work for them. So we have the house, and the house with the add-on is, you know, the greenhouse with the commercial product, which is an add-on. And this might be of interest to another corporate user, or even the same one. He gets the benefit of the project, which is alive, and add-ons, which are providing business value. Both of them get the benefit of long-term availability of the technology. I'm speaking about projects here that we created in 2006 that are still maintained, evolving at this point in time in 2024. So that's for real. And they also get the supportive environment for industrial collaboration and co-investment. Maybe they have another customer or competitor that have the same need, and they want to invest together on the same core technology, and they want to compete on the added value. The project, on the other hand, you get a stream of paid effort, which are supporting the project activities. And because there are more features and more adopters, it gets a larger adoption footprint, which, you know, feeds this cycle. And so everything goes better and better. Another partner which is important is the education and academia, which really loves open source and then can use these technologies, contribute, and access to it and experiment. Then students are able to learn using the same software as the industry, and then you get trained candidates, and the corporate user gets trained candidate, which is also a huge benefit for him. For this to be successful, we made sure to have a stellar record in terms of maintaining and evolving the technology. And we had, well, to follow all the governance rules which are set up in Eclipse, which are very good for developing an ecosystem. We had to engage with the community. We had to support the community growth, and make sure that a new one coming into the community find the good pointers and find his place so that the community will grow. Of course, we had to develop expertise, because then we're competing with so many other people that we all need to be slightly better, slightly over the top than the other in order to get the contract. And just as we had during the keynote, we need to earn trust from the community. And this also goes with contributing down your stack. At some point in time, IBM decided to reduce its involvement in Eclipse. And at this point of time, we were using all these technologies from IBM to build Eclipse Sirius and then Eclipse Capella and so on. So we had to step up and to take the lead of those projects, and we've been delivering those for years now, so that all this ecosystem is still growing. Of course, you're going to have to balance what you do, which is paid, and what you do, which is unpaid, and that's all the point. And another constraint is that your add-on must follow, I would say, the community rules or the social contract. And it should work seamlessly with the ecosystem. So it's not that easy. Just a quick word about research, because academia loves open source, and they really use that and contribute back with ideas or even prototypes. And we also participate into collaborative projects, which are grants and set up in Europe or France and so on. And this funding allows us to, well, take more risk and maybe explore some areas. And that's an important part of leading a project. So when you look at the business model, our goals are aligned with the goals of the project. The development services means that we stay in contact with the user's needs, and it funds some of the development. The fact that we have add-ons means that we must first ensure that the open source product gets adopted widely and is good, so that we can sell add-ons. Otherwise, we don't sell anything if the product is not good. And the off-the-shelf products means that we put ourselves in the shoe of our users. And this also diversifies our revenue streams as a company. So that's not a recipe which is that easy. So just keep in mind that we are in a very specialized niche, and maybe it doesn't work in some other markets. And quite a few initiatives that we did set up didn't work as we expected. And another very important point is open source interest doesn't mean you have a business model which is viable. Adoption is necessary, but it's not enough to guarantee a sustainable business. And especially if you look at your commercial product, you must solve a painful problem that users which are willing and able to pay needs fixed. And you don't want your product to be difficult to substitute or replicate. So basically, everything you need for a classical commercial product, you need to have it in mind and to build your product with these rules in mind, but also make sure that it works well with the ecosystem. So I'm not saying that easy. And for us as a company, it also meant that we had to move from a project mindset and organization, even if we had the product mindset from the go, but we had to move from this to a product-based one. And this is a presentation that Melanie did last year, which presents a lot of how we transformed the company in this regard. Now let's look just a few numbers. We are now 60 people. Across the year, Obeo's contribution is 32,000 commits over 12 projects. That's what I could measure as a number. And you see the next, 2024 is not finished yet. For ourselves, it represents about 30% of development effort, which goes directly into open source, and that's 2,500 days of effort. And you can see the breakdown in between efforts in purple, which is the efforts founded by Obeo, and the effort in blue, which is funded by customer project directly. That meant we did build and provided 350 open source releases over the years. By releases, I mean real official releases, not builds. So pretty much 30 and so a year now. And building Eclipse Sirius, 68 other tools which are using Sirius and which are listed into the gallery. I was speaking about research. There are more than 1,700 mentions of our technologies in research paper, just mentioning the technologies that we are leading, not all the technologies that we are contributing to. And I say that we were growing the Capella ecosystem. Just so you know, right now, there are more than 1,000 organizations which are using Eclipse Capella worldwide to design their system and architect their system using system engineering. So that's pretty exciting as a track record, but we are not done yet. And we've been building graphical modeling tools for, 19 years, hundreds of them. And at our core, we want this tool to live long and prosper, just like in Star Trek. And the expectations are changing, and now we want a tool which is accessible at any time, that anybody can collaborate with on any device, which is connected to other tools very easily, which foster collaboration. Basically, we want web-based tools. And the thing is that when we did start in Eclipse, we had all this work that IBM did in building the platform and building the Eclipse modeling projects, and all this ecosystem were actually built by IBM and bought on a bit. And we, as a small company, we could just, well, build on top of the shoulder of giants. But here, in the case of web-based modeling, well, we need to address this challenge. So how to foster a new initiative and bring the desktop community along? How to convince that building web-based tool is achievable? So internally at Obeo, we've been working on this topic since 2012 or so. We had several internal initiatives, and we wanted to strike the right balance in between sharing the technologies that we are building on the desktop and opening to new one where it matters. And the where it matters is pretty hard to define. And so we had to do a lot of prototype and try some ways and so on, and maybe get back to it. In 2019, we were having a clearer idea of what we wanted to build, and we had a real roadmap, and we put a real effort to achieve a minimum viable product. And in 2021, we made our work open source, and this is how Sirius Web got created. And this platform means that you can transform modeling projects like Papyrus, which goes on the web now, and Eclipse SysON for SysML v2. And then we've been able to bootstrap others joined, especially the CEA, which was in need of something to modernize Papyrus, and which share the same vision regarding future tools, what we want with future tools. So it gave birth to a set of new web editors for Papyrus, which are supporting the UML2 standard. And we share this vision of what needs to be in the tool for the next 15, 20 years. And because of that, we've been able to set up a partnership which is more a long-term one, a strategic one, on multiple levels, technological, research, and strategic, to make this vision a reality. Our shared vision is linked to an opportunity into the system engineering domain and community, for which a new version of the SysML standard, which has been completely revamped, is coming up. It will provide better interoperability, which is key in making sure that the system information, which is critical to the success of designing a complex system, is available to all tools. It also enables formal verifications, provides a foundation for building libraries of domain-specific ontologies to adapt the standard to your own domain, and be it, for instance, in aerospace or in transport. And this standard has been worked and refined for quite a long time, and the community is waiting and excited about it. And that's why this creates an opportunity, because then we have everybody waiting for such a tool, and such a tool can be an open source one. And we think, Obeo and the CEA, that viewing or authoring a SysML v2 model should be easily available to every system engineer and beyond. And we think that to achieve the real promise of this standard and transforming the system engineering process, it needs to be open source, because it needs to create a whole ecosystem. And that's why we did start the Eclipse SysON project last year. And since then, we're working tirelessly to provide a first level of support to enable basic system modeling for the end of the year, have the first tutorial, have the academics engage, and then start. And maybe in a few years, we'll get a tool which is awesome. We are aiming for the long term, and the timing here, if you look at all the history, is pretty interesting, because when we compare with what we did in Obeo's history, this standard is not even finalized yet, and we are providing every 8 weeks a new version of SysON, which is able to compete with what is coming up from the big software vendors, which are announcing that they're going to support SysML v2 in some way, and so on. So compared to in the last 10 years, where we were kind of catching up with the commercial product, here we are at the right timing. We are at the time where we can show something which is very interesting, which is on par with the commercial competition, and which can grow at the moment where most people are excited about it. So this is how it looks like when we move the modeling tools on the web. So this is a tool which is based on Sirius, which allows for defining probability variables. And you can see there are some charts. So you can mix the diagramming, the charts, and soon the tables, and so on. This is just an overview of the human Papyrus editors, which is based also on Sirius Web. So you can design class diagrams and activity diagrams, and so on. And this is a glimpse of SysON, the SysML v2 tooling, which is already available, provided through Eclipse, so that you can define using this emerging standard, which is SysML v2, and create your system, your part, and decompose it, and so on. So hopefully this gives you a glimpse of where we are in terms of features. We basically have all the basics covered. And now we can start expanding and create new tools which are dedicated to a specific domain. So software reaches its best when it's shared openly and evolved by collaborating communities. And we've built a business that align with this philosophy. Our model, which is mixing service, add-ons, and products, not only embrace open source principle, but also drive innovation and collaboration. We are focused on continuous improvement and wide adoption for our open source product. We are dedicated to update and maintain this product, evolve, and reach a broad user base. It's in our interest to do that. It's also in our interest to reinvest in innovation, to evolve this product beyond what they're able to, because we have product-based revenues, and this gives us the ability to invest in project and explore and take risk, maybe, on some of the initiatives. We thrive on working with partners companies that share our vision, and as you've seen in the story of Obeo, it's always in such a way that we've been able to create new technologies. And we started a new chapter with Sirius Web and Eclipse SysON for SysML v2. So if your company is exploring ideas or projects related to building web-based tools or based on SysML v2s, and we'd love to connect. Let's collaborate and shape the future of modeling tools. Thank you. And I think if you have any question, well, anyway, we're going to be at the Obeo's booth, so it would be great to chat or during the reception. Have fun and see you around.